can't tell you my problems, meditating my silence. But I keep pushing my pen, rotating my stylus. Brokenness feeling like sin, now no breath, low dollar. Used to be left on red, now all the girls go holler. Now all the girls go follow. All the fake fans gon' pile up. I need peace to borrow, get that shit right back tomorrow. Somehow all the fans go bravo. Smile so much to hide my sorrow. Faith is shaky in vibrato. I can't hold a frown too long. I can't stay down too long.
And we are back. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Up in Flames. As always, I am your host, Mo Murphy, and we are back in the building with another episode of Up in Flames. Like I said, once again. So we're back. It's been a little while. It seems like we take a lot of breaks in between episodes. Just timing, really. And part of that timing is the fact that now that I'm coaching now and having to support the girls and go to the AAU games and check them out. It's their off season, kind of see what they're doing when they're not with us. We've been practicing Monday through Thursday every week, all summer long, trying to get ready for next season. Just looked at last year one as a coaching staff, 7 wins. The standard just wasn't good enough last year. But, we brought back a lot of girls. All the girls are working hard. All the girls are pretty much, they're deserving of what's to come this coming season for the Skyline Lady Raiders. But with being out and about, the one thing that I've noticed being out and about in this area is how serious Dallas takes their basketball, especially on the girls' side. And what I mean by that is there is so much talent in the DFW area. If you ask me, probably boys and girls, it's probably the most talented city area. Dallas, Fort Worth area is probably the most talented metroplex when we talk about basketball in the country. I think maybe for the longest, the conversation was LA, but it seems like since 2017, 2018, I know basketball has always been embedded into the Dallas culture, but I think since about 2017, 2018, Dallas probably has been number one. When you talk about the teams that they produce, when you talk about the players that are coming out of the Dallas-Fort Worth area, I mean, if you're a team like Texas or Texas A&M or SMU or TCU, you just stay in your backyard. All you got to do is go a couple hours down the road. If you're SMU or TCU, all you got to do is stay in the city. And you could build a national championship contending and have a farm system for all the talent in Dallas. So I think that's something that like SMU and TCU, I think that's something that they paid attention to. They've been out and about in a lot of the local tournaments. But that's just something like I really feel like, especially these Texas teams, like that you always want to keep the homegrown talent home. But that talent that's in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, I'm telling y'all, is different. These AAU tournaments are different. Even just the how serious they take it. And I'm not talking about taking it serious and being wild and being raunchy as fans. I'm just talking about the support. I'm talking about how crowded these games are. I'm talking about when you go there and these merch tables are set up and these other reporters and these other local content creators and these scouts and these people that write up these, like these analytic guys, like they are at these games. The people that are writing up these scouting reports on some of these high school athletes, like they are out and about every weekend, all spring and summer long. And then a lot of them are also, they're at the high school games. And so for me, diving into, I got like a full dose of the Dallas culture and basketball and what some of the top teams and what winning really looks like in the first year as being an assistant coach in DISD over there at Skyline. But also, like, this was our first year as a staff. And so to be introduced to the culture of Dallas basketball, coaching at Skyline, which is 6A, the highest it goes in Texas, and then being in what everybody refers to as the District of Doom. Trust me, we got our fair share. I got to see Duncanville, who won the state championship 2 years ago. I got to see Cedar Hill, who made it to the state championship. We played them twice. Played Duncanville twice. We played DeSoto. So, like, I got to see my fair share of, like, the top-tier talent. But now moving around and just seeing the girls play in different areas and being able to check out the talent that's up there in Richardson and just kind of appreciate what's going on in the DFW area, especially this offseason with basketball, has been nothing short of amazing. There's really nothing I could complain about. I've enjoyed it. I love going out and watching these games. Especially on the girls' side, man, since being a girls' coach, really, I've fallen in love with just coaching girls basketball. I mean, it's more chess, not checkers. It's something you always got to be on your P's and Q's. It still has all the elements. The girls' game still has all the elements of basketball, of being a coach, of drawing up the right plays, of really creating a system, and not just depending on just I got 3 or 4 people that are 6'8", more athletic than everybody, and we can run up and down, or I got the most talented team. Because even with talent, you gotta, the girls' game is just a little different. Anybody who's coached it, who's refed it, the females who've played it, the females who have played against their female counterparts and then have played against their male counterparts, they'll say it's just different. It's not that it's a lower brand. It's just a different brand of basketball. And it's been nothing short of amazing to coach. I really don't see myself ever moving from the girls' side of basketball, just because I've enjoyed year one so much and I've enjoyed the offseason. And I'm waiting to see, what year two brings for us. But I just wanted to talk a little bit about kind of why I've been missing from the content space, why Up in Flames hasn't been having the summer that I thought it would. But honestly, it's because the girls over there at Skyline are having an even better summer than I thought they would. And that's kind of where, when it comes to a lot of this stuff, that's where my time has been. That's where my head has been. That's where my head space has been. It's like I go to practice and then I'm on the phone with the head coach, Coach Ship, and I'm on the phone with the assistant coaches. We talk about the practice and we talk about what we want to do the next day. And we talk about the trajectory that we're on and the improvements of all our players and what they were last year compared to what they are now. We still got four months until the season tips off, and these girls haven't even reached their peak. So it's like we've been proud of them. Got to keep them humble. Got to keep them working. So that's something that, I've definitely been focused on. But I do want to move on to the NBA. So, I usually don't do this. I'm a LeBron fan. Everybody knows that. I'm a guy who thinks LeBron James is the greatest player of all time. So I don't usually get into positive or negative the shenanigans going around LeBron James. I think, as a fan of LeBron, you just got to accept that there's going to be a lot of noise. There's going to be a lot of negative opinions about anything that he says or does. And, you just got to roll with the punches. But an interesting kind of, report kind of rolled around Twitter today that, from a couple Lakers reporters and things like that, basically saying that like the Lakers plan on moving on from LeBron by the spring of 2026. Now, anybody that knows what happens around the springtime of 2026, that is when the trade deadline rolls around in the NBA. Post All-Star break, the NBA trade deadline rolls away. The Lakers got new ownership. This owner is willing to spend money. And I think this owner is possibly even willing to spend money to enter his first year as an owner without the drama that comes alongside having a LeBron James. If there's a lot of factors of why there's a possibility that LeBron could be leaving LA, of the things that he has said, of the things that he has had Rich Paul say, of the things that have been stated out in public. But it starts back with the Lakers not giving him a contract extension. Now, you can easily say, well, maybe they're just playing it year to year. Especially with LeBron, he is 40 years old, and that's going to be a factor in a lot of the conversation around LeBron James and where I think he could end up going and how I think he would end up getting there. But the fact that he's 40 years old, I don't want to sign him for another 3 to 4 years. He could be one injury away from his career being over. The man is 40 years old, and he's still playing at a top 10 to 12. For argument's sake, he's still a top 10 to 12 player in the league. I just think, it's one of those with the Lakers getting Luka, kind of looking into the future. Luka's 26 years old. So you would still assume I have 5 to 7 years at the very least of Luka's prime. So I could kind of push off trying to build a championship contender alongside Luka. And LeBron James does not have to be included in those plans. But he feels some type of way about it. And where I'm stuck in the middle is I don't know if LeBron should really feel some type of way about how the Lakers view him at this point. I think this is the first time when LeBron hasn't had a contract extension. He usually does, I thought he would do a 2-year contract extension, 1-1 with a player option, because I don't know how much longer he's going to play. It doesn't seem like this coming season is going to be his last season, and for a lot of reasons, but a lot of things that aren't being talked about is LeBron's farewell tour, right? And so I would assume, because I think that's going to be the biggest topic of conversation, and LeBron is going to want to let the world know when it's going to be his last season, and he's going to want the farewell tour, and he's going to deserve the farewell tour like a Kobe Bryant did, like a Dwayne Wade did. Like LeBron James, definitely, no matter what you think about him, he is a legend in the game that has earned a farewell tour, no matter what uniform he does it in. That's where things get a little crazy to me, is because, like, if he does do a farewell tour, I couldn't imagine him doing it on a team that not LA, not Cleveland, And if even we want to make a stretch of like throw a third team in there, because he played in Miami before, like possibly Miami. Anybody else outside of those three franchises, I couldn't even fathom them possibly having the opportunity to have a LeBron James farewell tour. But it seems like it's possible. It seems like basically, I think we'll talk about the viable option, but it seems like basically the Lakers are ready to pay him what they need to pay him throughout the season. And when he becomes basically the value that's the most valuable at a trade deadline, which is a really good player on an expiring contract, he'll be a guy, great player, expiring contract. We can make a small trade for it. Now, I think the thing that we need to watch out for the Lakers to do is buying out LeBron James. Now, they got a new owner. We know with the owner and his history and what he does with the Los Angeles Dodgers. See, I'm talking dollars when I need to be saying Dodgers. But what he's done with the Los Angeles Dodgers and the money he spent and the payroll and the type of players that he has, on that team, like clearly he's willing to spend money to win. Now, obviously the salary cap in the NBA and the second apron and basically all the new rules that were negotiated in the CBA makes it a little bit tougher to essentially buy a championship, which is what people would consider it when there are owners that are willing to spend exuberant amount of money to compete for and win a championship in their respective professional sport, or now in their respective sport period, because we're also paying college players to play college sports and win championships. And so I could see him buying LeBron out. I mean, if I'm looking at it, what's it going to cost? Okay, you owe him $53 million this year. Now, we know when it comes to a buyout that you pretty much come to an agreement. Now, it's not a meet in the middle thing, because it's not going to be one of those, okay, 53, the number's 27 and a half, we'll buy you out and send you on your way. I think the meet in the middle number is going to be the buyout, subtract the veteran minimum, the type of veteran minimum that he can get from another team, subtract that from the buyout, and I think that's the money that LeBron James would take. I think that's what it would take to buy out LeBron. And in a buyout situation, LeBron James becomes one of the most interesting late edition free agents. Let's say they bought him out before the season started or bought him out in the next couple of weeks. LeBron James would be one of the most interesting cases of a late resurgence of a free agent that nobody really planned for. Now, mind you, this has been going on for, it seems like, a couple weeks, kind of since July started, since free agency opened up. It does seem like LeBron and Rich Paul and his camp, they have created the conversation of what a possibility of a LeBron James exit from the Lakers would look like. But if he gets bought out, now teams are not looking like, I don't think teams are shying away from adding a LeBron James if he's bought out, because now it's low risk, high reward. I add a top 10 to 12 player for less than $10 million on the season, and it's only through the rest of the season. It won't be a long-term commitment to LeBron James. And that's where, to me, in a LeBron James buyout situation, the team that makes the most sense, I think, is the Dallas Mavericks. Now, could he have an opportunity if Cleveland was to give him a call? Hey, you're bought out. We would be interested in bringing you back. Now, I think him going to Cleveland, I think the East is wide open. I think Cleveland's one of the teams that we expect to compete for a championship in the Eastern Conference. I think him going back and getting another one would be great. I'm not sure if necessarily that's his interest, is going back to Cleveland. And it will make sense to try and win a championship and do my farewell tour in the state that I was born in the city and the team that drafted me, the place where I became the chosen one, down the street. But, I think that would make a lot of sense for him to just finish the next year or two in Cleveland if it's not going to be LA. And a lot of questions would go away. But I think the one that makes the most sense is the Dallas Mavericks. If he were to get bought out, I think the Dallas Mavericks make the most sense. Now, if LeBron James was to join the Dallas Mavericks in a buyout situation from the LA Lakers, if I was LeBron, the way I would go about it is, okay, I'm getting bought out. Now, when I'm making my decision on what team I'm going to go to, let's say I hone in and pick Dallas. If you're LeBron, you are 40 years old, about to be 41 years old during the season. You've played 20 plus years in the league. You're one of, if not the greatest player of all time. For argument's sake, you are one of the greatest players of all time. If there is at any point in time in a person's career that they should be able to choose to do whatever they decide, regardless of the outcome, it is a player that is still in tip-top shape at 40 years old and basically on the last hurrah of his career. Now, the thing about LeBron, that him going to Dallas would mess up how he could really just exit LA and go to Dallas gracefully is the fact that he's still making it well known that he's chasing Michael Jordan. And so I think if he went to Dallas and said, look, bro, I never wanted to get rid of Anthony Davis. I understood what the Lakers were doing, and they had to make that choice. But I never wanted to, I get it, but I never wanted to let Anthony Davis go. I didn't want Anthony Davis to be gone from the Los Angeles Lakers. And so now I'm looking like, okay, I could go join AD. There was a possibility. We were talking about bringing Kyrie Irving into LA. So we know that that is a possibility. And that was always an interest of him maybe being able to play back with Kyrie. Him playing alongside Klay Thompson, a shooter, fit perfectly. Like, maybe even mentor Cooper Flag. Now, that would be the situation, I think, where people would be hesitant. I think a lot of Dallas Mavericks fans would be on the fence about whether they would want LeBron James to be the mentor on his way out to Cooper Flag, who basically is handed the keys by default as the number one pick for the Dallas Mavericks. Now that Luka Doncic is gone, he's handed the keys to the city, and they want to see what he's going to do. And so I don't know if you want LeBron to be the mentor. I think, he would be a perfect mentor, but at the same time, like, is he going to mentor him on the business side, or is it just basketball? And sometimes with LeBron in the shenanigans, you don't necessarily want him around your young superstar that's trying to find his way. But if LeBron joined that team with Kyrie Irving, when he comes back, as long as Kyrie Irving is back before the playoffs, but Anthony Davis, Klay Thompson, Daniel Gafford, and Derek Lively, D'Angelo Russell, I mean, that team would be viable to come out the West. I think you would have to like their chances just as much as you like OKC, just as much as you now like Houston after the addition of Kevin Durant. You already thought they were a year or two away. They were able to add Kevin Durant for, in my opinion, essentially next to nothing. When you talk about the production that they're replacing, I mean, sure, you might miss Dylan Brooks a little bit, a veteran that plays defense, brings that toughness, but Kevin Durant brings 26, 5, and 5. Kevin Durant brings championship pedigree. Kevin Durant brings MVP level basketball every time he steps on the court. But I think I think the Mavericks are already in that conversation when we talk about looking at what they should look like around March or April, entering the playoffs. But if you're able to add LeBron James and go through the regular season while Kyrie Irving is rehabbing back from that ACL injury, and you're still putting on the court D'Angelo Russell, Klay Thompson, Cooper Flag, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Daniel Gafford, Derek Lively, like, you will be fine. Your team, you will be a short shoe-in for the playoff regarding injury. But as far as that roster is constructed, you're shoe-in, I think, a top 6 seed. You'll make the playoffs. I think you'll probably be one of the top 4 seeds in the Western Conference, even through the regular season. As long as AD and LeBron don't low manage too much. But I think that situation just makes sense when you talk about from getting back to playing with Anthony Davis, getting to play with Kyrie when we know AD and LeBron were basically trying to bring Kyrie to LA before he signed the extension with the Dallas Mavericks. The one person that I think would probably be kicking rocks if LeBron James joined the Dallas Mavericks is D'Angelo Russell. And I just think it'd be part of it. Like, I don't know how much, and this is just speaking. I don't know D'Angelo Russell. I haven't heard anything. I don't have sources close to D'Angelo Russell. I just would imagine, like, him already getting up out of LA, like, I don't think he signed with Dallas in order to pair alongside LeBron James. Now, I do think he signed with Dallas to be the starting point guard for the regular season, to back up Kyrie Irving for the postseason, and get back with his buddy Anthony Davis, who, while LeBron James was out in LA and D'Angelo Russell and Anthony Davis played together, they actually played really, really good basketball together as a 1-2 punch when you're talking about a point guard and a big, and that pick and roll and that pick and pop offense. And D'Angelo Russell, when he would heat up and cook up, like, that duo was fairly dangerous. Now, I'm not talking about championship contending dangerous, but just the way they were able to play, you could tell. And D'Angelo Russell and Anthony Davis had fun. You could tell D'Lo is excited to be back with AD. Klay Thompson apparently pitched big time for D'Angelo Russell. He had a short stint in Golden State and played with Klay Thompson. So, he was pitching for him. Like, these are guys with championship pedigrees that were saying, bring D'Angelo Russell in, especially because, look, we got Kyrie Irving. We bringing D'Lo in for the regular season, and then now we have D'Lo as our backup point guard, as our 6th man, as coming in and being a popcorn scorer. I think that'll fit his role perfectly. Now, their starting lineup would be something to conversate about. You might even be bringing Cooper Flag off the bench. As unfathomable as that is, if you bring LeBron into Dallas, I think Cooper Flag coming off the bench would help for his development. But that's neither the here nor there because this is all hypothetical. But I do think it is a possibility that LeBron could get bought out in LA and could end up in Dallas. I really, really do think that is a possibility that he ends up. But I would guess Dallas. If he was to leave LA, I would definitely say that I think LeBron leaves Dallas. Now, one of the interesting people where we kind of are on the fence about whether we want this player to leave, whether we think this player should leave, what this player should do is Giannis Antetokounmpo. And Giannis was on Asho Speed's live stream. And at first he said, he started talking about, Florida and the no state taxes and people want me to play in Miami or people want me to play in Florida. And he asked Speed about the taxes. And, I think Giannis is starting to become a social media guy. So I think part of some of the things he do is trolling a little bit. But at the same time, when you just look at it for basketball, I think Giannis is in the crossroads. And I ask myself this question, is Giannis in the crossroads of his career? And how many guys reach this in their point of their career and what conversations do they have? And what I mean by is Giannis on the crossroads of his career is Giannis is an all-time great. When I say that, I don't mean top 10. I don't mean top 15. Now, could he be at the end of his career? 100%. But Giannis is an all-time great. He has a championship. And he's done it, I don't want to say by himself, but, he did it with the team that drafted him. They built the team around him. He built himself into a superstar, and he won with Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday, and company. And he was able to win a championship. Best player, best team, MVP of the league, finals MVP. So Giannis, there is no question about can Giannis get the job done. So now he's at a crossroads because if there is a part of him that wants to leave Milwaukee, is he afraid that me leaving Milwaukee, I have to make the right choice on the team or else it's going to affect my legacy in a negative way? It could be, I don't want to just join up forces with a guy that's already winning and then we just keep winning. And there's not guys who are just running. We don't have a dynasty in the NBA right now. We don't even have repeat champions, but they're still just viewed as there's probably a couple guys that the media and kind of the people that control the narrative about a player like Giannis's legacy, there's probably a couple guys that they would take issue if he played alongside of or if he requested a trade out of Milwaukee and said, I want to go here, here, here. I think depending on what those places were and who were on those teams, I think people would have a problem with. Now, to me, Giannis has done it. He's won a championship. So he's not trying. If he was to ask out of Milwaukee, I feel like it's one of those, I've given a city like Milwaukee everything I've gotten, but there's still just a little more I want in my career. And maybe it's something that the city of Milwaukee can't give me, or maybe it's just something that the Milwaukee organization just won't be able to give me. We're not a big enough market. It's not like we can bag superstar free agents. We don't have a whole bunch of assets to make a swing trade. We kind of did it for Damian Lillard. Now they cut Damian Lillard and they're going to be paying him $22 million for the next 5 years. He ended up tearing his Achilles. It never fully looked right with Dame and Giannis alongside each other. So there was always that we don't know that Dame even ever wanted to go to Milwaukee. When he was about to be traded, it seemed like really he was dead set on Miami, and Portland just kind of traded him to Milwaukee. It didn't seem like that was something that he expected. Then he went through a lot, and there was just a lot of factors of why the Dame and Giannis project didn't work. But it wasn't Giannis' fault. Like, Giannis has been healthy, has played MVP basketball. I think it's to the point, like, we've kind of just, what Giannis has done is so, it's not even rare. It's just, he does it so consistent year in and year out. You've kind of, and then they haven't made it past that second round. They haven't played in the conference finals in a few years. Like, so you've kind of looked past just how great Giannis has been these past few years. So I think that's why he thinks I'm speaking for him. I don't know him, but I think that's why Giannis could be at the crossroads, because do I want to stay in Milwaukee and just be that loyal guy that stays for one franchise? I won a championship. Maybe I won't win another one as bad as I want to. Or does he say, I want to win a championship and I want to go somewhere that's going to give me the best shot at winning the championship? And it's not going to be here in Milwaukee. And I love Milwaukee, and I love everything Milwaukee has done for me, and my family loves Milwaukee, and I'm a staple in the community, and I will always be a part of this community. But I have to put me first, and I want to compete for a championship. And just adding Miles Turner and cutting Damian Lillard and just having no real vision from here, no real possibility to lure. Even if you had a max contract spot, what type of player are you going to get to play alongside Giannis Antetokounmpo in Milwaukee? So I think he's probably just in the crossroads looking at all of those aspects. And before he makes a decision, whether it's I could see myself in Milwaukee, I love Milwaukee, I love the people in Milwaukee, I love the community, I love the organization, I love the coach, or it's time to win a championship. It's time for me to put my MVP level basketball back on the map, playing in the conference finals, playing in the NBA finals, and ultimately I need to win another championship. And if it's not about for legacy, it could be about for himself. Maybe he's not satisfied with one and understands that if I stay in Milwaukee, the likeliness of me only retiring with one championship grows exponentially as opposed to if I made a move to another spot. Where that spot could be, we could speculate all day long. I think Giannis is odd when it comes to kind of trying to dive into his mind of what he's thinking when he doesn't really put out a lot for you to digest, in a sense. Like he doesn't put out a lot of content. He doesn't do a lot of he doesn't do sit downs on podcasts and interviews and throw out those little bits that he knows are going to be clipped up and taken and talked about. And I think part of that was, I think him going on Speed's, stream and saying some of the things he said, like just hinting towards there's people that want me to kind of ask out of Milwaukee, while also like, hey, I don't think you guys, when he's like, are you going to stay in Milwaukee? Like, probably. Like, we'll see. I love Milwaukee. So I think he did that for a reason, and I think Giannis is starting to try and kind of figure out the social media game and figure out how to play. And I think he's just testing the waters of what will people think if I said I was leaving, or where do people want me to go, or what's a viable spot for me, or what does my future look like, or what does the love look like if I just decide to stay in Milwaukee and figure it out. And if I can't ever figure it out, will that be enough as the validation? Because sometimes it's not like he's a Hall of Famer. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's one of the all-time greats, but sometimes you seek a little more validation from maybe not your peers, but the media does play a part in how you end up feeling about yourself, or the pressure that you put on yourself. Like maybe he's putting pressure on himself to go out there and win the championship. And maybe in his heart of hearts, he really does. I just want to stay in Milwaukee. I just want to do this. But I do hear the noise of, I'm a guy that one championship, I'm too good to only have one championship on my resume. I'm too good to kind of let the rest of my prime be wasted, in a sense, in Milwaukee. And that Miles Turner move did not flash me as like, yeah, that's something that'll keep Giannis honest there. And I can't believe Miles Turner ended up going to the Milwaukee Bucks. Anyway, that's a conversation for another day. But Miles Turner going to Milwaukee, leaving Indiana to go to Milwaukee is wild. But what they're saying about Indiana and the hesitancy to pay Miles Turner makes it even more wild. So I think it's one of those. Miles Turner took the situation, said, man, that's fucked up, but watch this. I'm going to make it even more fucked up, and I'm going to go to Milwaukee. I'm going to go to what's been our biggest rival, the team that has knocked us out in the playoffs, the team that we grit and grind. We had a grit and grind game in the play-in, or in the in-season tournament. We had a grit and grind in the playoffs. It's just in the regular season when we play each other, it's just a different atmosphere. It's almost like Indiana hates Milwaukee and Milwaukee hates Indiana. And so Miles Turner to go over there after literally going 7 games in the NBA Finals, going to Milwaukee was surprising. But then when you hear that Indiana was hesitant to pay him or was trying to lowball him, like sometimes, man, a guy like Miles Turner who's been there 10 years, has constantly stayed with you, has made no noise about wanting out of Indiana, has really made no true moves to leave Indiana. He's been with you for 10 years, and you lowball him after being a centerpiece outside of Pascal Siakam and Tyrese Halliburton. He was one of the centerpieces, one of your franchise for the past 10 years, but one of the centerpieces of the team that just went 7 games with the Oklahoma City Thunder in the NBA Finals. And so you think about all that, and then you come to the table and spit in his face by lowballing him because you don't think somebody else is going to offer him that. And then there's a team like Milwaukee who made works in the backgrounds to make moves to make it work, to be able to lure him away from Indiana, and you still let it happen. If I'm Indiana, I would have gave him an apology payment as far as now I'll give you $2 or $3 more million a year extra than I was going to, for the simple fact we did kind of spit in your face and lowball you. And, we're trying to protect ourselves and protect the organization. We're trying to make sure we have enough money to make some moves, because we are going to be playing next season without Tyrese Halliburton because he tore his Achilles in the NBA Finals. So I get it from the owner's side, but it's still like a spit in the face when you're talking about Miles Turner. This isn't a guy that got traded to the organization and is there and is part of a winning team, but never fully wanted to be there. It wasn't his choice to be there, even if it wasn't his choice to be there because he got drafted to Indiana. He stayed through all the trade rumors. I swear to God, and all of y'all that are basketball fans can attest to this. This man, Miles Turner, has supposed to not been in an Indiana Pacer uniform every spring and summer for the past 7 years. I swear it seems like since he's been up from his rookie contract extension, he's in trade talks. He's usually one of the hottest names in trade talks every year. And he stayed around and he gets you, he plays an intricate part in getting you to the NBA Finals alongside Tyrese Halliburton and Pascal Siakam and all the other guys. And Coach Carlisle, like, yes, they did it as a team. They did it as a unit. I don't think not one piece was more important than the other when you talk about just the absolute trip and the absolute road for them to get to the NBA Finals. But to lowball Miles Turner was probably, in his eyes, some bullshit. So Giannis, if he asked out, I wouldn't be surprised. If he stayed in Milwaukee, I wouldn't be surprised. It becomes one of those, I think, I want to see Giannis really compete for a championship. I want to see Giannis in an NBA Finals again. I want to see him winning an MVP and competing for a championship. And if he can do that in Milwaukee, great. I just don't think in the next 3 to 5 years that there's really too many moves that Milwaukee can make to essentially turn them into a true championship contender where you view them like that heading into the season, as opposed to they're the type of team where, well, they have Giannis, so we know that they have an opportunity to win a championship, but everything has to shake our way as far as teams might need to be hobbled. We might need to play, we might need to hope that we match up with a team without their best player. Things might need to go Milwaukee's way more than typical when you're trying to win a championship, because obviously when trying to win a championship, all stars have to align anyway. But you need, there's levels to this, and where Milwaukee is, it's more than just all the stars aligning. It will basically take a God-given miracle of like Giannis deserves this type of good karma from the Lord himself, and that's how they're able to win a championship with how they're constructed right now and what the future looks like for Milwaukee over the next 3 to 5 years. So that's going to be something that I'm going to be paying attention to over these next few weeks and heading into the regular season. Is there something that Giannis is seeking outside of Milwaukee? And if so, where would it be? And I would love to hear, like, if he did say, I want out of Milwaukee and I got a list of teams, I'd be intrigued to hear what those 3, 4, or 5 teams would be. I think Miami would be on there just off the strength of, I think there is some type of mutual interest. I mean, we all know Miami would be all in on Giannis with nothing to give, nothing to compete with in a trade package. But we know Miami, just like any other time, they're always in those. But they say they've been saving pieces, even though their pieces aren't the greatest, but they say they've been saving pieces to make a trade for when the right person becomes available. And that's why they backed out of the Kevin Durant sweepstakes on multiple occasions. But they haven't been able to land anybody since they were able to land LeBron James. They don't really land big-time free agents. They got Jimmy Butler, and then you see how they did him as he aged out. So I could see Giannis wanting to go to Miami, but I don't know what they would give up at that point. You got to be talking about at that point, I want Bam Adebayo, and I don't know if I would give up Bam for Giannis, but if I'm trading for Giannis, I'm also trying to win a championship almost immediately. And so I don't know if I can trade away a Bam for Giannis. Yes, I got a better player, but now Bam and stuff makes us Giannis and Tyler Hero, and then what? And you're almost in the same situation as you were in with Milwaukee and Dame, I think, with a lesser player of Tyler Hero than Damian Lillard, even if those two couldn't figure it out. I don't know if Tyler Hero is the type of dude that I see figuring it out and maxing out his potential alongside Giannis and being that second option on a championship team. And the last thing that I want to close out with, just get the mic smoking a little bit. But the last thing I want to close out with is you fans that have these super high expectations for the NBA Summer League. It's not that damn serious. And I watched VJ Edgecombe, his first game, he looked like Dwayne Wade. He looked like the second coming of Dwayne Wade. I think he had 28 points. He was flashy. He was tenacious. He was everything you would want to see in a player in a top 3 pick making his debut. Ace Bailey and Cooper Flagg, on the other hand, Cooper Flagg had his debut. Ace Bailey had his debut and his bounce back game. Cooper Flagg had his first, summer league game, and it didn't go the way you would want it to for the number 1 pick. But my thing is, when is it ever? Like, when are you as fans or as media, instead of just like, oh, well, we got to evaluate you on a night-to-night basis, understand that this summer league, first off, had a bigger crowd than we're used to seeing. The summer league tickets were more expensive than normal. So the Cooper Flagg, the face of the Dallas Mavericks, the savior who is there to replace Luka Doncic, who was sold in the middle of the night to the Los Angeles Lakers, is coming into Las Vegas with already high expectations of being the number 1 pick, high expectations of being considered a generational player, which I think we throw that word generational around a little too much. But he comes in with that on top of the fact, like the expectations of Cooper Flagg being the savior that replaces Luka Doncic. And so you expect superstar productivity right away in his first summer league game when he's factoring all these things, including getting into NBA shape. And so I think we just raise our expectations because Ace Bailey turned back around after a poor shooting night in his first game. He comes back in his second game and he lights up the scoreboard. He has an efficient, I think he was like 6 for 9, 7 for 10 from the field, 3 for 4 from the 3. Like, Ace Bailey had a really good second showing in the Salt Lake City Classic Summer League. So now I'm looking at Cooper Flagg, and in his second appearance, I'm expecting, things will settle in. Cooper Flagg is going to play really good basketball. But the expectations be so high that we expect these top 3 to 5 to 7 draft picks to look like superstars right away. And if you're we don't even let them settle into acclimating into the NBA before we start the summer league. Think about that. These guys get drafted. They go to their, respective cities. They get acclimated with the facility. They get acclimated with the staff. They get acclimated with everything that has to do with the organization. But they're not acclimated to the everyday lifestyle of what it takes to be an NBA player. One, they're young. Cooper Flagg he's still 18, and 2, it's the summer. It's the off season. I'm entering my first year. And so you expect me to just come out here and have an efficient 30 points and put on a show. And you could tell the way he was shooting the ball. That's what he wanted to do. That's what he intended to do. And I think he intended to put on a show so much that he ended up shooting himself out of the game. He ended up shooting himself into a lackluster performance. He ended shooting himself into a performance that you would question whether he was overhyped as the number 1 pick, but that's not the case. Just give the man time. We don't always have to react to everything. Sometimes we could let things play out a couple of weeks, a couple months. We could let his first game, and we could have came off the weekend of his second game and evaluated his first 2 games, but nah, Cooper Flagg isn't this. I tried to tell y'all, the people that want to come out and say I wasn't a Cooper Flagg fan. Oh, I tried to tell y'all Cooper Flagg really ain't that dude. Look at his first summer league performance that we ever seen. That's crazy to me. I think raising expectations, it's like if you expect your superstar first round pick quarterback in his first NFL preseason game to throw for 400 yards, 4 touchdowns, and look like the year 7 guy that you just drafted fresh out of college. That just doesn't make sense to me. We always have these expectations, especially on these young guys that come in and we expect them to save franchises and save face right away. And Cooper Flagg got put into a better situation because I could imagine the number 1 pick, and I'm going to Dallas that on the roster has Klay Thompson, Anthony Davis, Daniel Gafford, Derek Lively, Kyrie Irving, D'Angelo Russell. Like, we talked about what that roster looks like. And so I'm going to be able to kind of develop and not have to put this franchise on my back, not be looked at as wins and losses are on me early on while I'm developing into an NBA player. He may even have an option to come off the bench at times just to get acclimated and get his game going and figure out his ins and outs in the NBA. But you have to allow Cooper Flagg time to do that. You have to allow VJ Edgecombe time to do that. You have to allow Ace Bailey time to do that. We don't have to watch bad games and then just get on there and type away the first thing that our brain thinks on Twitter while we're trying to be the first to go viral for something for conversation, especially in the basketball world. Everybody's trying to go viral for something instead of just, talk about what you see, but use context. Say, man, look, Cooper Flagg didn't look the greatest in his first summer league game, but with this, that, and the third, I understand where it's coming from. Now, will I be concerned if this is something that continues throughout the entire summer league? Sure. Will I come out of Summer League saying Cooper Flag is going to be a bust? Of course not. But if I don't get some type of performance that I would like to see from a number one pick at some point during the Summer League, then yes, I would be slightly concerned. But we haven't hit that point yet. He still hasn't even played his second game in Vegas yet. And we're sitting here and overreacting and wanting to be the guys that say, I told you so, I told you so, I told you so, in the low minority of people that aren't Cooper Flag believers. Do I think he's going to be a top 5 player in the league? Probably not. But do I think he's going to be a year in, year out all-star and be the team that takes the Dallas Mavericks to the playoffs? 100%. So that's everything that I wanted to cover today. It felt good to get back on the mic. I think during the middle of the show at one point, slow-ass Wi-Fi at this moment, buffered, messed up my train of thought while I was cooking a little bit. But I appreciate everybody for tuning in. I appreciate everybody for listening. Make sure you like, subscribe, rate, review, do everything that you can do for Up in Flames with Coach Mo Murphy. As always, I'm Coach Murphy. Be well, be safe, and we will catch you on the next episode of Up in Flames.